content. The way that this is built, like, you can only only the user can sort of call back the three shards. The only concern really is if we get subpoena by a government to say, now, this user specifically, we would like you to, retrieve the three shards, etc. So that's not a real concern in the end, because for several reasons. One, you only get subpoena like this by governments if it's a serious act, like, terrorism, drugs, etc., etc. Like, it's not true that the average person gets subpoenaed every day.
Can I just interrupt there? Coinbase had all their customer data subpoenaed by the IRS.
Hey, everybody. It's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan, and that was the CEO of Ledger. And yes, Coinbase did notify its customers in 2018 that it would turn over to the court the ordered information on 13,000 accounts to the IRS. So using that new recovery key service by Ledger, that is not self-custody. Santiago has it correct here. FOSS, the firmware, free and open source software. It's the only way. You must trust, but verify. And closed source software, you cannot test by a third party to check for vulnerabilities. Therefore, you really don't know if there is a backdoor. And CoinLife left me the very best comment on Twitter. He said, "Not your fingers, not your rings." Yes, how true. All right, everybody, let's go. Attorney John Deaton ran a poll on Twitter asking if you felt the government would default on the U.S. debt or would they raise the ceiling. You can see how I voted, but 56.5% of the final results thought there would be a default. No way. They're going to get a deal done. Now let's listen to some short clips from John on a video that he uploaded just a few hours ago. It is some more clarification on the coming Hinman emails.
We're going to talk about the Hinman documents first and what to be expected, because there's just a lot of confusion about what's going on. Judge Torres has ordered that the Hinman emails, draft speeches, and the comments between all these SEC personnel, that cannot be sealed, that must be released to the public with very limited redactions. We're going to get to see on June 13th, it's possible it's a day before, but doubt it, basically the drafts with the red lines and the comments that Hinman made and that Valerie S. made and that the Office of General Counsel made and all these other people made related to this speech. A lot of people made a big deal about why would Ripple agree to a 1-week extension to unseal this. And my comment to that was, I don't think there's going to be any kind of appeal or any writ of mandamus by the SEC, because the SEC filed a letter to the judge that said, look, Judge, we need an extra week to make sure that we comply with your order. And so I doubt very seriously if they would say that to the judge and then pull a fast one and try to file a writ or object or any of that kind of stuff. And so the bottom line is we're going to see these documents. We're going to get to read Bill Hinman's very first intake and his thoughts on what that first draft speech had to say. Boy, there's a lot of people at the SEC giving input on this personal opinion of Bill Hinman. This is basically a summary of the privilege log. The bottom, it lays out who's in the emails, but I want you to draw your attention to the first line there. The second sentence says, attachment 1 indicates the 64 non-duplicative documents reflected on the SEC privilege log. I've been saying there's 63 emails. I misspoke. There's 64 apparently. I also misspoke. I think I said there were 56 or 58 drafts. There are actually 52 because you can see in the second line, it says in total, there are 52 unique drafts reflected in all of these Hinman emails. So apparently at the same time between May 21st or mid-May and June 13th, when this speech is being drafted and commented on by various people at the SEC, enforcement lawyers at the SEC were dealing with XRP, which is further corroboration that XRP was probably mentioned somewhere in all of these comments. After all, it had battled ETH for the #2 spot in January of 2018. XRP was #2. On June 13th, 2018, it was #3 as far as market cap. XRP had existed before ETH. It was mentioned by the Government Accountability Office in 2014 as a virtual currency utilized in a decentralized payment platform called Ripple. In 2015, FinCEN declared it convertible virtual currency and made Ripple comply with the banking laws, not the SEC laws. Also in the footnote, you notice a MoneyGram reference. MoneyGram declared in 2019 that they were going to utilize XRP, and the SEC told them to count it as a contra expense as part of, instead of revenue. They didn't say treat it as a security. There's a reference to Coinbase email in February 2019 that says, hey, XRP is not a security. All of that is evidence. And how these individuals at the SEC were dealing with these issues, we're going to find out. But that XRP memo is not a coincidence, people, that it's dated on June 13th, 2018, the day before. And the final comment about that is that memo could not have declared XRP a security, because if it had, then the enforcement lawyers would have recommended at least a cease and desist or letter to Ripple. Hey, Ripple, we just did this exhaustive memo and XRP is a security. Stop violating the law. They would have done at least that, or they'd have recommended enforcement. They wouldn't have done nothing, which is what they did. So all of this evidence, I think, bodes well for Ripple. But more importantly, my concern is the secondary market and XRP holders. And I think that we're going to find out. So hopefully you have a good idea of the nature of the documents now and what's contained in there or could be contained in there, and not to be confused with the Empower oversight emails that they're fighting for, that deals with SEC communications with third parties, with Consensus or Vitalik or Joe Lubin or anybody else. Those are independent emails. These are the internal emails of the SEC that they fought so hard.
Allow me to update you on 2 Ripple XRP related news stories. The first one, it's surprising. This went under the radar. It came out on May 9th in the Galaxy Digital Holdings shareholder update conference call. This is Mike Novogratz company, and he owned the world's longest running exchange headquartered in Luxembourg called Bitstamp. Well, it has been acquired by Ripple. And this is a key purchase because Bitstamp is an ODL exchange, which means they facilitate XRP in the use of being a bridge for cross-border remittances. They listed XRP back in 2017, but suspended trading for the retail investor after the lawsuit. This was a very interesting acquisition because it is retail facing. Is Ripple going to use it for ODL? Probably. Are they also going to use it for Liquidity Hub? Yes, probably. And the second bit of news comes out of the UAE, which is just on fire. This is 2 Ripple partners, Tranglo and Lulu Money, teaming up together to tie up more corridors. Yes, both use ODL. All right, everybody, we're jumping to the fluff. Yes, June is the rainy season in Japan, and for 5 years, the Kusatsu Station in Shiga has been hanging an art installation of 500 umbrellas. The colorful shadows look so nice. And on a day like today, this is the view. Thank you so much for watching the last video, which was a little on the tech-heavy side. I understand that. But what I'll do now is let a much easier to digest video of the former CTO of Ripple, Stefan Thomas, take you out. And trust me, the more you listen to these dev talks, the more you're going to understand what you hold, and the more you're going to get excited for what's being built. All right, everybody, do take care. Sayonara for now. Bye-bye.
My name is Stefan Thomas. I'm a co-creator of Interledger. Interledger has been, when we first started, kind of came from the idea of like, how do we make different ledgers interoperate together? We were working at Ripple, we were working on blockchain scalability, we were working on blockchain interoperability, and I have a bit of history with trying to make things more accessible and more widely used. I got involved in Bitcoin in 2010, and at the time Bitcoin was extremely clunky, and you had to download the scary, exe file, and then after you started it, it would just, thrash your hard drive for like 3 days straight. And so it wasn't a very good experience at the time. I also created the first JavaScript implementation of Bitcoin, so you could do some Bitcoin things like signing transactions in your browser, and that led to more user-friendly wallets like blockchain.info and Coinbase later on, who used Bitcoin.js. And so I have a little bit of background in this space. So let me apply that to Interledger, and let's see what we come up with. One of the amazing things that we have available to us today is cryptocurrency. Now, there's a lot of things about cryptocurrency, and we can talk about it for a long time. A lot of things wrong with it, a lot of things great about it. But one thing that is nice about it is that it's already achieved sort of global liquidity. There's cryptocurrency exchanges in most countries. And that's something we can leverage. So if we want to build a peer-to-peer network where people can send money around, well, we can tap into the liquidity that cryptocurrency already provides. Now, finally, there's another kind of use case. This is the one that I kind of alluded to earlier with Codius, something that we've been thinking about for a very long time. So for a lot of you who know Codius, this will be a bit of a repeat. But basically, today, the way we do smart contracts is we have these blockchain ledgers. So there's a set of them out there, a couple different ones like Ethereum, Solana, et cetera. And then we have the Codius model where you're really not thinking about sort of ledgers in that sense. You're just thinking of individual nodes. So like there's a node out there, it's a Codius compatible node, and it really is not that different from the cloud computing model that we talked about before, which is, if somebody wants to run their code on my server, they can just pay me.